Anyway, Sam, welcome to 101 FM.
Thanks, Mike.
Really interesting the work you're doing because, you hear all these stories about people that are out there and they're trying to empower women, but you don't hear very often about people trying to empower young people and especially people in school and the youth of today. Because let's be honest, Sam, it's a hard time for people growing up now.
Absolutely, Mike. I agree with you.
So what do you do?
Okay. I'm basically a scientist turned coach. And what I do is last year, there's a bit of a story. And I met my colleague, Andrea, and she runs a tutoring business. And I asked her this question, like, what's the most challenging thing the children face in Brisbane, in Australia for that? And she said that, Sam, the first thing is there is no real connection between the children and the parents because of different reasons like social media and then internet. And the other thing she said is like a lot of my student clients and children, they're quite stressed and they have like a high anxiety.
Yeah.
And considering that, I made the decision that day that I got to do something for the younger generation of Australia. And
because you mentioned yourself, I mean, we talk about this a lot on the show.
Yep.
Social media, there's a lot of good stuff about it. I keep in touch with my family via social media back in the UK. But now, I think kids and youth in particular have lost the art of direct face-to-face communication. A young person would much rather send either a text message or a Facebook Messenger than actually pick up a telephone or talk to somebody face-to-face. So where do you actually come in? Are you going around schools? Are you working with youth organizations?
Okay. At the moment, what I'm doing is like running seminars and workshops for children who are who are going to the schools, and then basically teaching them not about like different learning styles, but also what I call it as lifestyle choices. And then lifestyle choices include how to eat healthy and be happy and connect with the parents, and how to connect with the society, because the real connection is kind of like little lost at the moment.
It is. And it's interesting you talk about nutrition and diet. There was a thing on just this morning on Channel 9 News I was watching this morning about young children, I mean babies. They did a survey on what parents were actually giving them, and sort of, wow, you think, good grief, why is a baby of 18 months eating all this sweet stuff and sugar? And it's almost getting them hooked on junk food before they even have a chance to make their own decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need to be quite careful, and it's always a good thing to pick them when they're early and then show them what to eat and what not to eat, and develop some healthy habits so we can build a very strong Australia.
But it's hard, isn't it? And I know you mentioned a lot of parents in particular. It's a stressful time, and some people are keeping two jobs. You got a lot of single parents that are listening to the show where they're putting the kids in daycare, they're doing a day job, coming back. They haven't really got time to be preparing. And what do you say to people like that whose lifestyle is so stressful?
Mm-hmm. So one of the way they can do it is do a little bit of like a preparation, maybe like a weekend they prepare a meal for a week for them, and then they can give it to the schools when they're going to the schools, and also practicing some kind of mindfulness exercises, breathing exercise will really help them to calm down the mind and also help them to combat stress and anxiety.
I noticed from the information that you sent me, your own background, you did some research in neuroscience, which is obviously study of human brain and its function, because people don't realize that a lot of the things that they do are subconscious. They don't even make that decision. It's happening, it's automatic, they're not thinking about it. So I guess we all get into habits, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, Mike, like most of the people act in autopilot mode. So it's quite important for them to calm down a little bit and then watch their thoughts and then like regulate the mind. So they are not like acting and reacting from nowhere, so that like they are making all these conscious and also intelligent decisions for themselves and also for the family.
So what changes would you like to see in schools, for example? Because obviously you're only one person, so you can go and make these suggestions. But what changes, people listening right now, what changes would you like to see happening?
So I would like to see a lot of mindfulness practices introduced into the schooling system. And So that's one way of working on not only for children but also for the parents, because it's going to have a ripple effect. Because when the children get better, then it takes a lot of pressure out of the parents as well. So definitely mindfulness and meditation exercise, to if they can be introduced into the school system, then it will have like a massive effect into the Australian schooling system.
Because obviously, with your own background, you come from the southern part of India, where I'm guessing that spirituality is very important. Kind of different over here. Would it be, do you think, perhaps a nice idea? I'm thinking of school assemblies in the morning to maybe just have some, just even not meditation, but just some breathing exercises, a bit of quiet time to start the day off.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is part of the practice in India, where India and other many Asian countries to have what they call it as the prayer time. Like just, even though it's called as a prayer time, it's more of like calming the mind, like 10 minutes in the morning before the children go into the schooling system. It will have a massive impact on their activities. So if we can introduce something like that in Australia, that would be wonderful and very powerful as well.
I think it would definitely be very positive. I'm smiling because my experience of India was a place called Chandigarh, and we went to film cosmetic surgery, and it's I tell you what, the journey from Delhi to Chandigarh was the most. I was complaining the other day about going up north, but what was interesting, when we met the surgeon and we met all of the operating team before they did the surgery, they had 5 minutes of quiet time before the surgery started, and they just sat, nobody spoke, and they were all sort of deep within their own thoughts, and that was a very calming experience even for me. And I'm thinking, I didn't really want to film what we were going to film, but it was very, very calming, because it is such a stressful life that we lead nowadays. Even getting from A to B, getting to work in the morning, kids getting to school, it's hard.
Absolutely, yeah, completely. Like all of us are going through very stressful period because of different reasons, and it's quite important to have our own quiet time and also me time, like at least like 5 to 10 minutes on a daily basis, so that it's important to practice self-care first before going and helping someone.
Sure. So, and I have to ask, do you do this yourselves? Do you actually?
Absolutely.
Do you practice? Yes, you do. My wife volunteers for Lifeline, and she's on the. Goodness me, she gets a lot of very distressing calls, and they say at the end of her shift you have to have some self-care. You have to sort of bring yourself back, because obviously if not, you take it all on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like if you keep giving, and then you may probably end up being burnt out. So you got to be very careful with that. And then if something happens in life, then it's also quite important to build a little bit of resilience. So learning some techniques that can help you build your resilience can help you to come out of any situation that happened in the past and then have a bright future.
Excellent. I love the ideas. I love the work that you're doing. If people want to know a little bit more, where did they get a hold of you? How did they contact you?
Okay. So I have my own website. It's https smbhealth.net, and I can also be reached via telephone, my mobile phone.
Well, we'll get you to leave your number on the desk.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what happens, Sam. Yeah. If you give your mobile, because you've been on this show, if you give your mobile phone number out, you are going to be inundated. You'll get stalkers, you'll get people turning up at your house. You don't want that.
Okay.
But if you do want to find out a little bit more, if you didn't get the details from Sam there, you can always give us a ring here at 101 FM 3808 8101, and we will put you guys in touch. I admire the work you're doing. I hope you can get into as many schools, as many youth centres as possible, because, you know, they are the future. And if we don't fix it now, I shudder to think, here comes the old man targeting it, I shudder to think what is going to happen if we don't start to learn to communicate.
Yeah, it's better to start now than later, Mike.
Indeed. So thank you very much. If you want to know a little bit more about the great work that Sam and his team do, 3808 8101.